Hello and thank you for joining us once more on BrothaSpeak. I am your host. My name is Heber Brown, and how we so appreciate all of you who continue to watch this show and continue to send us your feedback so that we might continue to provide you quality programming. I would say that we have viewers from all over the world, brothers. We've got viewers from Argentina who contact me about the show. We have viewers in other states like Texas who watch the show. All over the nation and the world, we have people tuning in to hear what these brothers have to say. And I'm so grateful for you watching the show. Even if you don't agree with the opinions that are shared, you are watching the show. Black, white, immigrant, and others are watching this program, and for that we appreciate you. Let me, before we get started with introducing our brothers and our topic, let me make a special plea in this new year on our third show of the new year. Let me make a special plea that you might find it in your heart to contribute financially to this show and to the larger broadcast of Black TV Online. Please know that your dollars say something when they come into Black TV Online. It says that you support it not just tacitly, but you support it so much so that you want to make sure that it continues for others to watch and to see what's going on. And I want to make a pledge. Well, everybody has New Year resolutions. Some people do, rather. And I wanted to make a resolution for this particular show. I want the viewers of BrothaSpeak to commit with me to raise at least $500 this year through this avenue of BrothaSpeak. I want it to be said by December that the viewers of BrothaSpeak so believed and appreciated this show that we don't just watch it and log off, but we open up our checkbooks, we go on PayPal, and we send some money, some dollars to support what's going on so you can help create the infrastructure so that this can continue. Now, if you are excited and happy about BET, go ahead and stay with BET. But if you want to see some quality programming of a critical nature, we need your support on BrothaSpeak. I want, by the end of this year, our viewers to raise $500, at least, for this program, BrothaSpeak, and for the larger broadcast of Black TV Online. So that's my challenge, brothers. And I think we can do it. I think we can raise at least $500. So let's start this show. Again, on my left, Brother Tyrone Keys, great brother, very articulate brother. And on my right, our other articulate, intelligent brother, Brother Ted Smith. This particular program, Tyrone brought the issue to bear. But it's a very valid issue, this whole issue of immigrants in this country. And it appears that we have, certain immigrants get certain rights, and other immigrants get no rights that America would even, or no, argument that we even want to hear as a country. So Tyrone, since you brought it to bear, we asked that you put it out there and let's have a dialogue about it.
Well, as you know, I'm concerned that the United States, this is an issue that transcends Democrat or Republican. The United States, the powers that be, are endeavoring to create a special class where immigration policy is concerned. That class is slanted toward the Hispanic immigrant. There are two facets of this. Number one, the proof is in the pudding. When Haitian immigrants arrive on the soil, if they do so in a very conspicuous way, the United States Coast Guard rounds them up and sends them back. That is not the case for immigrants from Cuba, who, if they are, the policy is called the dry land policy. If they are able to set foot on dry land in the United States of America, they are given asylum. In Arizona, it is illegal for police officers to inquire as to the immigration status of those who may be suspected of being illegal immigrants. Now, not too many Haitian immigrants coming across the Arizona border, so you can tell who that's slanted to. And the other danger in this, and this is what I really don't understand our hardcore liberal friends not being able to see, is that this special class is designed to be a permanent underclass. These people, you've heard the president say it, you've heard Ted Kennedy say it, and everybody in between, that these people are doing jobs that Americans will not do. What they're doing is jobs that Americans will not do for $2 an hour. But they are bringing in people who they are designing a special class for, a special underclass. Part of the immigration legislation says that you are prohibited, if you fall under this legislation, you are prohibited from getting another job other than the one you came in under that legislation to hold.
Okay.
That's indentured servitude, when you don't have the freedom to exercise your ambition.
So they can't get another job.
If you come in as a dishwasher under
Right.
this legislation,
Right.
that is what you must remain until or unless you somehow secure American citizenship. Now, that just totally wipes your freedom of ambition off of the table, and it sticks you in an indentured servitude type of environment where you don't have the ability to increase your circumstances. And I just don't see why people of both conservative and liberal mindsets are accepting of this.
I understand why. Because it's implicit just in your description. I hear more angst, and I hear more disappointment and anger directed towards the exploited rather than the exploiter. I mean, what about corporations such as Walmart and others that want to take advantage of this cheap labor? I mean, I don't understand. I don't have problems with the struggling Latino that's trying to better themselves. It's like the typical conservative. I've been in a room with a room full of conservatives, these immigrants. But then I ask them, well, you just had your house done. Who worked on your house? The immigrant. Who actually, they don't mind when the immigrant and the cheap labor pool actually does work for them, and they have to put less money out of their pocket. They just don't like it when it comes up on O'Reilly or any of the other Fox News conservative shows that turns you against immigrants because you're not supposed to like the benefit that you get from it. But no one will ever talk about Walmart and these other exploiters of cheap labor, because that's where you really get to. Everybody wants to kick the low person on the bottom pole, and nobody wants to get at the exploiter who controls both parties. They don't want to get to the heart of the issue, because when you go against Walmart and your corporate base, because economics drives politics.
I will talk about Walmart, Tyson, Cargill, all of these companies who gave the day off to immigrants in order so that they closed down several plants so that immigrants could go and protest immigration policy in America. And if you've got to close down a plant in order to allow this, then you obviously have a workforce composed largely of illegal immigrants. Now, I'll be the first in saying that I am willing to pay $1, $2 more for an item or for food if that means that A, people are paid a living wage in order to be able to harvest this food, and B, it supports an immigration policy that demands that you be a legal citizen or a worker in this country who's under some other type of legal status.
But you're in isolation, Tyrone. There are a lot of conservatives that talk like this, but when it comes to the actual reality, they would love to save a couple of bucks.
And that's true. I may be in isolation on this, and that's fine. But again, my original point is you have people who are being, again, Americans don't want to pick cabbage simply because it's $2 an hour. John McCain, he was at a university, and I forget the name of the university, a few months back, and he challenged the audience. If I were to, and I'm paraphrasing him, if I were to pay you $50 an hour to go out and pick cabbage, you wouldn't do it. Well, in response to that, half of the audience raised their hand because the reality is you, me, and Ted would both go out and pick cabbage for $50 an hour. Most Americans would. He totally missed the point in that they're not paying them a living wage in order to go do this work. Cargill and the likes are basically benefiting from damn near slave labor.
I think there's a bigger issue, Tyrone, and I think that as an American people, we need to all make the commitment that we will not support businesses across the board that exploit labor and exploit people. There's a website, www.responsibleshopper.org, and it lists by category a lot of businesses that are very popular that exploit workers. And that's been one of my New Year's resolutions to make sure that my money is going to support people that have a living wage and do not exploit workers.
Let me ask you a question connected to that.
Okay.
Because when I started doing some just preliminary study on the corporations that exploit labor and that may, abuse workers economically or otherwise.
Right.
And I came across a DVD, I forget the title at this time, but it was about Walmart.
Right.
And it was pretty troubling.
Yes.
Not pretty, it was very troubling.
Yes.
The picture they presented.
Right.
And I take into account, I try to calibrate for the extremes, because when you get a camera, you can sometimes show the extreme cases and try to paint that as the norm. So I try to calibrate that and say, okay, that might be some isolated. The true picture may be closer to here. Are the American people, in your opinion, prepared to go to responsibleshopper.org, was it, and do this research? And when they see the long list of corporations, Walmart and others, who are not just exploiting labor here in this country, but, like Nike has factories in other countries.
Right.
You think people are prepared to really...
Let me say this. What I put it to them is just give them the crossroads. I don't want to hear you talk about immigration policy. I don't want to hear anybody talk about immigration policy if your actions are not prepared to follow your words. First. Second, they're exploiting them today, they're exploiting you tomorrow.
Well, they are
because when they're
everybody today. Slavery,
they're not exploiting everybody today.
Slavery is in effect, and it's the only difference is it's a slavery for every color.
But everybody is not being exploited.
Who's not being exploited?
Who's not? Yeah, the 1%.
No, I guess what I'm like. Let's say, for example, I work. A lot of people that might work for the city, state, or the federal government are people that are paid a living wage currently. If they don't feel like, if you have to convince somebody to go to responsibleshopper.org, they're not being oppressed enough.
But it doesn't sound like responsibleshopper.org lists the companies that are doing ethical business, which may be a shorter list, but do we really need
one of the
list?
things, let me ask you this question. Because what they do is they go with the ones that are not, and then what the big encouragement is to go local. Because in that Walmart video, which I saw, was that a lot of local economy has been driven down.
That's true.
And one of the things that we need to do is actually begin to buy local in terms of our food, to get away from all of this processed food.
Okay. So let's go there for a second before we wrap up. Okay. Buy local, go local, buy food, that type of stuff. All right. Now let's look at our communities.
Yes.
Realistically, the people who watch the show, let's say a good portion of them are people of African descent.
Yes.
Who may live in large urban populations like we do.
Yes.
Baltimore, Detroit, Washington, D.C., whatever. Look at the local scene. Where is there a place in our neighborhoods to go to the grocery store?
Okay, can I answer?
Yeah,
okay.
I'm just saying.
What I'm saying is first. Let's say first, I think that people need to make a commitment to try to support your local farmers markets, to support your family's farmers, to stop investing so much in this processed food that's killing you.
I'll agree.
These genetically modified food, this clone food.
I'm talking about access. I agree with your point. I'm saying we
there's more access.
As a matter of fact, they're trying to
we don't even try. What I'm saying, right? We don't even try to spread the word.
Well,
there are more.
The sad. I agree with everything you just said. It becomes a question of, am I going to be able to do anything other than sit butt naked in the middle of a field? If I was faced with a dilemma in getting gasoline a few months ago. There was an Exxon here, So I go there, I support the Saudis.
Mm-hmm.
There was a Citgo over here. So I go over there and I support Hugo Chavez.
Mm-hmm.
I need gasoline. What am I going to do? And because there's so many, I don't know if there are any more Pete's gas stations.
I guess what I'm saying. Well, I'm just saying that you have to crawl before you walk. And my problem is we're not even willing to crawl to even move in that direction. Because I think that the more you have, the greater number of people moving in that direction, the more of us challenging each other in these issues, then we begin to work towards creative solutions, but we're not even willing to crawl.
And that the reason why we're not able to do that is something that the three of us and our viewers and Obie Linton, the owner of this network, are not by and large saddled with, and that's this beer and circus mentality that the country has pretty much adopted in favor of paying attention to the issues and being more socially responsible.
Well, that's what the purpose of this show is. We're trying to widen this circle and this network and widen that net. I mean, I understand that there's a sad state of affairs, but I'm not content that it's going to stay that way.
I would agree to that, and I hope that both of us are right in that. But just going back to what Heber said a little while ago, the beer and circus mentality it's furthered by the mainstream media.
Mm-hmm.
Even the political talk shows are such that they're more infotainment nowadays, as opposed to being able to glean any real information out of it. So
that's true.
I think
and they're starting this line too, Tyrone. They're starting to say on mainstream radio particularly that when they try to bring conscious information, they're saying that listen. And I've heard this on the radio, the local #1 station, hip hop and R&B. They say listeners can't take all that straight information. You got to put some entertainment with it. You got to put some music with it, or some catchy phrases or something with it, because listeners can't just take that information by itself. It gets old and boring. Now I understand they're trying to condition. They're trying to put the words in the listener's mouth, so they say that.
Right.
But at the same time, yes. It's the local. I think it's an access issue. Yes, you can't find local businesses to support in, concentrated poverty.
But there's still some.
There are some, and I agree. We got to crawl before we walk. But even when you find them, sometimes it's priced so much out of your range. If I'm a mother with 4 kids and I live in East Baltimore, and I'm just making it. Sometimes I can't eat at night. And I go to a place, there's one store, I like the store, but it's called Whole Foods. Now, what me and my comrades call it, we call it whole paycheck.
Right.
Because once you go in there, you're going to spend a grit just trying to get what you would normally
No. You do what my grandmother did that lived right on Gilmore Avenue, struggling in the hood. She produced her own food right in the backyard, taking what she learned from the South, growing her own food.
Exactly, but
most of what she ate, she showed the way in that. She didn't live rich.
I agree what you're saying. All I'm saying is that
we've been disconnected from our African heritage. We need to go back to our African heritage. And our forefathers and foremothers knew how to produce their own food.
And not getting too far removed from the subject, but what Ted is saying is correct. You don't know whether you're eating cloned beef or not.
Right. That's right.
Who knows what the effects of this is on your body?
That's right.
Genetically modified vegetables.
Right.
You do know that if you are grown in your backyard, that
that's where it was.
And it's more economical.
There's more.
No excuses with that one.
Well, if you don't have a yard,
but there are people that have yards.
I'm not making excuses.
Okay.
All I'm saying is, let's look at the big picture. And Tyrone, thank you so much for starting with this discussion, because now we begin to see the interconnectedness of all of these issues. When you talk about gentrification, that has an impact on this discussion.
Right.
A very real impact.
Because we should also think about changing our mindset with regard to these cities that we live in. We should start thinking about a more rural existence.
I agree.
Because I just don't think the cities
are not made.
Working.
That's right.
So
the cities, and it goes against our African heritage. It's not a natural existence. It's unnatural.
But if that's where all the resources are going, and we see this, and our viewers see this in their major urban African American cities as well. There are a lot of resources going into the cities. There's a lot of cranes going into the cities.
Insanity
what
is
they're
doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Over the last 20 to 30, this has not worked for us.
But African American people, by and large, are being becoming the victims of gentrification and eminent domain, in the sense that they're being kicked out to the counties or kicked out from where all the resources are coming. So, for example, on Broadway, and this is a streets in East Baltimore, Broadway and North Avenue, there was a stench there from the broken sewer line for years. I remember as a little kid driving past that street, and for years that smell was there. Now they got white folk and money coming in, and everything's
But what if
fixed up.
we move to what Tyrone suggested and go to a more rural type? We're more in control of our
As
destiny.
long as the resources come with us,
We don't need the resources.
Where we gonna live?
During segregation, there were people that own their own land without the resources of white folks that did just fine.
I'm not saying get the crumbs
We're
from
the
white
ones.
folks.
No,
structure.
we're the ones
But-
that don't know how to. Like I said, my grandmother didn't have the resources, but she knew how to produce her own food. As far as I'm concerned, she's more knowledgeable and educated than I am.
But we are
because
not
I'm
our
still
grandmothers,
dependent.
Ted. We got to be realistic. We are not our grandmothers. It's going to take, I think, a longer time to change the conditioning. And we know this. Scott G. Woodson writes about it, the danger of, the mind, if your person
Right.
has your mind. So we've got a long way to go there before we can just pick up and move out to the country. Because
We need to learn how to grow our own food.
Let me tell you what. If we pick up and move out there right now, the first place we're looking for is McDonald's. If we pick up right now and move out, where's the McDonald's?
No, that's the problem.
That's what I'm saying.
McDonald's is killing us.
That's exactly what
McDonald's is killing us.
Unless you reveal that, unless that becomes mainstream thinking in the African American community.
It doesn't have to be mainstream thinking. You get as many people as you can to do that. I mean,
and I know we got to end
Yeah.
up here, but when you talk about getting as many black people to do something, you're right. It's a long road because we are not even in enough control of our destiny to support Kwesi Mfume for Senate.
Oh, Lord.
As opposed to
that's a whole different issue.
If you think
That was an
hey,
opinion
hold on.
issue.
If you think that was
That's
something,
an opinion
watch what
issue.
happens to Barack Obama. That's all I got to say. We got to wrap this up. Thank you so much again, Tyrone. At first, I didn't know where this discussion was going to go, but I'm so glad we went with it because it really just shows the interconnectedness of all of these issues and that we must continue to press forward and to educate ourselves. And I thank God so much for Ted because Ted brings the reality check that we sometimes need, and sometimes he holds the mirror up so that we can see where we are, because once we can see where we are, we can start talking about where we need to go. Don't remember my challenge to you that we need to raise some money. Not need to. I'm not saying the lights are flickering, even though the smell of ladybugs is in the air. We're having a ladybug issue in the studio. But, we really want to show with our dollars that we support this network. And your dollars really shows it. You can say you support the show and support the network with your mouth. That's one thing. But when you open up your checkbook, open up your wallet, that's a totally different thing. Please consider $5, $10, $25, $50, $100, $250, whatever you got. We pray that you will consider being a social tither or a social contributor to something that's positively impacting your world. My name is Heber Brown, Tyrone Keys, Ted Smith. This has been another edition of BrothaSpeak. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.